Well, we have another fight assessment. This card is going to be great, but man, I am having some trouble, admittedly. I was very assured with most of my picks initially. You start doing a little research. You start looking at things like this bout between Miranda Maverick and Maycee Barber. This bout should be a lot closer than people imagine. These fighters on paper are so similar. Of course, they have physical attributes that will come into play and be a factor in the fight. But for the most part, this one is going to be a tough call. I was initially all over one side, and that changed. I understand the hesitancy in this particular bout, as Maycee Barber is a minus 165 favorite. Miranda Maverick is a plus 125 underdog. Miranda Maverick destroyed Jillian Robertson her last time out. I was on the Jillian Robertson side that time. It was pretty brutal. And Barber was defeated by Alexa Grasso, and I was on the Alexa Grasso side that fight. So usually I roll with the person that beats me. So usually I would roll with Miranda Maverick, and that's where I'm initially leaning to. Looking at both these fighters, you see that Barber has more octagon experience and has already beat Maverick's debut partner in Jillian Robertson. The Tapology community is 75% with Miranda Maverick. I don't always trust Tapology. I do enter things in there, and I use it pretty much as a start model, and then I build from it. I could explain that in a different time or in the comment section. This is a challenging fight to speculate on. I stood on one side and then I was like, whoa, this is a little tough one. Similar statistics. Everything on paper looks even. Sure, we can go to their past fights and watch these fighters. But what are we going to extrapolate that and whatever we extrapolate, we have to be careful of our own prejudices and subjective criticisms, because this is a fight where I think it will go to the judges' scorecard. And if that's the case, it's one fighter going to be favored over another. 77% of the Tapology community is thinking this is Maverick by decision. Unfortunately, this bout, Maverick has a little recency bias. I've heard Clint, as well as Lock of the Night, mention this. There is a lot of favoritism we recently saw Miranda Maverick dismantle Robertson. That impression lasts in your head. We saw Maycee Barber lose to Grasso, as well as lose to the wonderful warrior woman. I can't believe I can't remember. Roxy Modafferi. How horrible. I cannot remember Roxy Modafferi after she has won me so much money during her career. Thank you very much, Roxy. Please continue to kick ass if you can. So how legit are these women? How have they grown? Are both of them hype trains soon to be derailed by a true contender, as they're both making their way up the ranks? Well, the finish and decision props are not up yet, so how to play this bout? I don't think Miranda is a lock for certain, but she, like most all the favorites, is accordingly priced at minus 165, which isn't a horrible position for a parlay leg, but I do approach this with some caution, as Maycee Barber is sort of a skilled veteran, or at least semi-skilled veteran. And Maverick, though, as far as favorites goes, considering the level of Barber and her opponent, she isn't horrible to put in there. The next person I might consider is Ian Heinisch at minus 152. I know it's risky, but utilizing a good price fighter is essential when you're making these parlays. Sure, like last week, you could have thrown Islam Makhachev in every single parlay, and depending on who you threw that in with, it varied on the points. If you threw that in with one of the favorites like D-Rod or with Matus Gamrot, you weren't getting much back on a return for that. In fact, I found other locations where I was trying to get a good return on him and found that pairing him with the dog was the way to go if you wanted to, but I've made more money by pairing my dogs with Misha Tate, who was a better priced favorite, and that's what I'm going to be doing on this card. There are a bunch of favorites that are well priced accordingly, that probably will win their fights, but it's going to be a lot closer than we think. Looking briefly up and down the card, I do not have a lot of faith in Hannah Goldie as my main parlay leg. Sarge Eubanks, I probably might be looking to fade her or justify myself fading her in the material, in the content that I'm going to be looking at next. Julia Arce against Andre Ewell. I think Arce's coming in on short notice. I don't really trust that particular bout right there. Adrian Yanez, I think, is priced accordingly, but is going to be in a fight. Those guys are going to be in the fight of their careers. So I'm going to lay off that one in terms of using that as my primary parlay leg. Ian Hench, of course, I mentioned that as at minus 152 is a nice price. The Pahune Allen fight is even money, fantastic there. I love even money fights, even people don't like it. No way am I going with Derek Minner at minus 165 as a favorite in that against Derek Elkins. I think Elkins has many paths to victories. Williams versus Mickey Gall. Williams is still unproven coming off the Contender Series fight. Of course, Gall might just be a bust in terms of a prospect, so Williams might have something, but no way am I going to grab him at minus 200. And Kyler Phillips, again, I think a little slightly recency bias, a little overpriced. The person I might grab, we'll do the next piece on, is Aspen Ladd at minus 200. Seems like she's becoming a greater favorite as the moments go on against Macy Chazon at plus 155. And of course, Sanhagen and Dillashaw, which I don't think is necessarily a fight to parlay. Who knows what's going to happen there, but getting back to what we have here, other people we're not going to parlay are going to be Sarge Eubanks, and as I mentioned, Adrian Yanez. That isn't going to be part of my plan here. I'm going to lean towards Maverick on this one. I don't think Barber ever seasoned into a complete fighter. She's coming off 2 losses. I think Barber is put into this gatekeeper mode here. She has a better base of skills and training, but Maverick is just much more powerful, and she just comes to scrap. Sometimes in fighting, that's just all you need. Maycee is a point fighter. I just see her that way, where she's just looking for a strategy, looking for a way to win rather than just sometimes... I understand you can't be a brute. You have to have skills in this area. But at a certain point, we saw a lot of hesitancy in the last couple weeks with people not willing or wanting to engage, not even jabbing. We've seen this in the UFC a lot. People do freeze, and I understand it. It's shocking to be in an area where somebody is attacking you, and so the counter striking, counter offense is going to be key. I don't see this being an easy fight, as I mentioned. I see Barber on the counter offensive, and that's where Maverick can capitalize on her hard hitting hands. I think Maverick will be cautious at first, but once Barber begins to wear down from that movement, I could see Maverick beginning to run away with this. I'll look at the Maverick finish prop, and the under prop will probably be plus money. I'll probably chase those as opposed to Barber just money line, and probably will be utilizing Aspen Ladd instead of Maverick, as I mentioned before, as my primary parlay leg piece for this event. But give me Maverick as a pick, even though I think statistically, or at least somewhat the little things on paper, I think Maycee Barber does better. I think she has a slight striking edge just in terms of the skills. She has better striking defense. You have to give the grappling and the striking evasion to Maverick. I'm not too keen on either women, actually, in terms of their movement. The jiu-jitsu from both of these women and their counter wrestling as well as offensive jits, I hadn't seen any of that. I'm not going to comment on that. I don't think it's going to come into play here. It might. Hopefully maybe more for Maycee Barber if she's wise to maybe more, actually do some submission wrestling as opposed to just wrestling could possibly help her out here, because I really think that Maycee Barber does have the better fight IQ. I think she's the smarter fighter, but Miranda Maverick is just more vicious, just has that desire to win. So give me Maverick by finish once it populates. So again, everyone, if you've listened to this, please like and subscribe. I'm going to try to make a few more of these with various picks. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, make a comment, say something about my horrible picks. Even though last week I did okay, I've made a lot of crap picks, and there might be a lot of crap picks this time. Let's try to avoid that. Help me out with that. So like and subscribe and comment. Thanks.